All right, Shalom. Call all y'all about Shem and Shah. And Shalom to the look. I was just up looking at some news. And I've been seeing another video about this attack that just happened over there in Iran. They trying to play the blame game and they don't know exactly who did it. I'm going to pull the definition of this word once again. And I'm going to go into some precepts. Now, the word thug, it says, is a term for a violent, lawless person, especially a man. The word was originally used in the 1800s as a name for members of a group of men in India said to be professional criminals and murderers. But who actually is doing all the thugging around the world? Let's go into the other definitions for this. Esau like to call everybody else a fucking thug. But they the ones that capitalize on doing shit like this. Origin of thug, it says first recorded in 1800. It says from Hindi, Maratha, thug, that's how it's spelled, then they just switch it around. It says a swindler, a cheat, a rogue. It say perhaps from the Sanskrit thaga. It says a cheat. Also, it said he conceals. So them doing this shit right here and saying they don't know who did it, it only points to a certain amount of people on this earth that even want to do some shit like this. Let me let this play.
Renati International today. I'd like to ask you for your response to Iran blaming Israel for killing Fakhrizadeh.
Well, as a former defense minister of Israel, I would have no idea specifically on this particular event. What I can say is this guy was not a benign nuclear scientist. His focus and expertise was the weaponization. That's what he did. That's his business of connecting the nuclear part to the weapon. And this is a very, very dangerous thing. Not only that, we know that whenever the IAEA inspectors wanted to meet him, Iran again and again declined to allow him to meet these inspectors. So if he was just some benign scientist...
Yeah, and that's how Esau like to play there. Oh yeah, we're just going to have a meeting and, we're going to come up with a little treaty or whatever, but it's the characteristics of Esau. It's in the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Well, war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet with a drawn sword. So, you have a guy sitting around like this talking all sweet. Oh, yeah, we just want to have a meeting. The whole time, that's what they was trying to do the whole damn time.
That should have been no problem. We have an evil empire that's been hijacked, right? The Ayatollahs that have hijacked a very good nation of Persians and taken it down a route of weaponization, nuclear weaponization, a very dangerous one for the region and, if I may, for the entire world.
Well, that certainly doesn't justify the killing of this man, does it?
Again, I have no idea who did it. What I can say is why it may have happened and why it's important and vital to stop this ongoing effort, massive effort of nuclear weaponization.
Let's see. Wait, there you go. That bullshit again. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 12, verse 2. It says, they lie to one another. They speak with flattering lips and a double heart. So, yeah, of course they're going to say they don't know. They don't know the hell going on. That's a fucking lie.
If the world wakes up one morning with Tehran having 2, 3, or 5 nuclear weapons, it's a terrible new world. It's a nightmare world for everyone, for the United States, for Russia, for everyone. It would mean that the entire region would start a nuclear arms race because no one else would want to be without that sort of weapon. It would mean that Iran, who currently is fomenting terror all around the region and the world, would be able to do so, but not regular terror, nuclear terror.
But wait a minute. So who the fuck doing the regular terror? that's the funny thing about it. Hold on, let me get this other precept. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 35, verse 20. And see, the only time Esau get all riled up and scared like this when somebody else start beating them at their own fucking game. That's the only time they get like that. Listen to the book of Psalms, chapter 35, verse 20. It says, "For they do not speak peace, but devise deceitful schemes against those who live quietly in the land." And that's exactly what they're doing. These people been over here trying to trade, do business with Venezuela, other little countries over here and stuff like that. And then they point the finger and say, "Oh, they funding terrorists and they giving them weaponry and all this stuff." But wait a minute, who started Al Qaeda, or Al Qaeda, so to speak? And who the fuck started that ISIS shit?
This is something the world has to stop.
So you do think that the disruption of Iran's nuclear program was the goal of this attack? And what do you make of Tehran saying the program won't be suspended regardless?
Look, it's very clear that Tehran is keen and very systematic about progressing towards acquiring nuclear weapons. Fakhrizadeh wasn't just a ticking bomb, he was a ticking nuclear bomb. And the world, using economic pressure and policy and other dimensions, has to stop Iran from doing this. This is a regional interest. We see all the regional players who are opposing Iran's nuclear ambitions. It would just be a nightmare for everyone, and the world in its entirety has to stand up and stop this.
Well, critics would say that your country's denial of the assassination is hard to believe, especially given Benjamin Netanyahu had publicly warned to remember Fakhrizadeh's name.
You know, the one question I would ask is, if Fakhrizadeh was such a benign nuclear scientist, why did he walk around and run around Iran in a motorcade with security guards as if he's some, ultra-secret person? If you're just dealing with civilian nuclear capabilities, there's nothing to hide. Why was he hidden from the IAEA inspectors? What?
Because they knew he was trying to take them out this whole fucking time. That's fucking why. Hey, let Esau play these little mind games, man. If you don't really see through what they got going on, you better pray on it and try to wake yourself up, or ask the Most High to wake you up. Now, that's in the book of 1 John, chapter 2, verse 4. It says, let's see. It says, there's a lie and the truth is not in them. And that's basically what on Esau, even though this scripture was talking about somebody else. That's the characteristics they have. They go run around telling lies and shit, saying they don't know what happened. And then he gonna try to clear it up. Let me back this and listen to what he actually said when she asked him.
Ask is, if Fakhrizadeh...
Well, critics would say that your country's denial of the assassination is hard to believe, especially given Benjamin Netanyahu had publicly warned to remember Fakhrizadeh's name.
Let me end this up. Pull this up on my phone real quick. The laptop heated up a little bit, so hold on, bear with me 1 minute. I'm gonna pull it back up. Yeah, man, well, let Esau tell them, man. They don't know what the hell happened. All they know is this guy walking around with heavy protection for some reason, because they knew they was trying to take him out. They didn't want this guy. But see, most of the time when certain situations happen like this, you take one out, there'll always be somebody else right in line to take their spot too, man.
What has Iran got to hide?
Iran's blamed all 5 murders of its nuclear scientists on Israel. Why would it blame your country for no reason?
You know, I don't know what their entire line of thought is. What I can see is what their actions are. These people, the Ayatollahs are like an octopus sending their tentacles all across the region. They want to create a regional hegemony. All right, they're looking back thousands of years. They want to be a hegemony over the entire region and turn it into a center of nuclear weapons that would create a weapons race that it took decades to do away with the United States USSR nuclear race. Now we'd have a new one, but in a very rogue area. This is something that no one in the world could want.
Do you think that this assassination is going to make it harder for President-elect Biden to operate in the region as Iran says it will?
See, keep in mind, I was going to pull this other scripture up in the book of Isaiah. I'm going to quote it because I actually know it. But keep in mind how they keep speaking on the Israelis and they keep speaking on the U.S. Because the scripture in the book of Isaiah says the least of the flock should draw them out. And over there, they consider the least of the flock in that region. Because they're not a majority or none of that. They're actually the minority. And in the book of Obadiah, it says, now pride have deceived thee, and I've made thee small among the heathen. So they look real small. So who they call on when they really have some major issues? Call on the U.S.
No, quite the contrary. I'm sure that President Biden, who has said time and again that he would accept no nuclear weapons in Iran, I'm sure he would not want Iran to go nuclear with weapons on his term. And in that sense, I think we certainly support any policy that will stem Iran's nuclear weapon ambitions, including a new deal, a good deal that would actually stop it, not a bad deal that would allow it. And in that sense, I see no issue here.
Yeah. And there you have it, man. And there'll be some more stuff coming out. It's just early in the morning, and I just happen to see this, and I just want to go over a few precepts and speak on this. But Esau the real thug, man. They're the ones that do all this shit around the earth, and they blame everybody else for something. Play the blame game. They make treaties and break the treaties. So, I just want to bring this out. Like I said, once again, Lord's willing, let's edify, call Allah, Yahweh, Shem, Shalom to alert, and stay alert, man, because amongst all the bread and circus shit that be going on, the so-called holidays and all this other stuff is real shit popping up. And of course they want to distract people from it and make them think stuff gonna be sweet. People want to look forward to 2021. Hey man, you see how 2020 started off? Shalom.